So let's look at it. So he has like something. I think he ranked every single unit in the game. So we have something from meta to triple S, double SS, A, and no. So everything in no is basically not used at all. I think overall it's fine. It's fine. I feel like Zora, I would probably rank Zora not in no, but at least in A. Because if you have her R2, she has the AoE defense break that does something. But let's look overall at it. So A rank, he's like, okay. I understand why he does it. Like, I also don't know if he just put in the Espers. If he just put in the Espers, like, okay, doesn't matter if like Ophelia is on the top left and Jean is at the bottom right. Like, if it's all the same for him, or if he actually ranked them by that Ophelia is the strongest and Javed is second best on the A rank. I'm not sure how he ranked it. But I feel like there could be a possibility that starting from... Because personally, I don't see Dona being better than Meredith. So I guess he just ranked based on where he thinks the units fit in the rankings. I think he ranked it by R6. I do believe he ranked by R6. Or overall usage. I'm not 100% sure because I'm not in his mind. So looking at it, I saw Yamato at R6. And I personally disagree with Yamato. I think the highest he would potentially get for me is an A rank. Like, Yamato, in my eyes, needs to move down to A rank. And then we have like units like Nama. Nama is something which can only be used together with Windpin. But I understand why he put him there, maybe. Yan Xuan is whatever. Valeria at R6 is quite strong, so I kind of agree with her being there. JJ, in my opinion, is ranked way too high. JJ is at most from his ranking perspective, a low S tier. Low S tier or high A tier, but he's 100% not a double S tier unit. Triple S, I kind of get the ranking, but I feel like with the new changes, you could argue that Raven kind of belongs into meta. I feel like from these units here, you could bump up Raven, Brewster, and Everett. Like, Raven, Brewster, and Everett could be bumped up to meta. And look, this is my personal opinion. Because you see them everywhere, right? Like, people who have Raven will use her. And like Clave teams, stuff like that. And especially in R2, she's super strong. Brewster R6 is just a different breed. And like in speed devs, you always see Brewster in there because he just provides so much damage, utility, and everything. And especially with his element, he's really good, especially also to deal with heights. Everett is just another unit. You can say Everett fell off a little bit just because of Windpin, but Everett has so much usage and you see him everywhere that he is a meta unit and will be. And then looking at the meta tier list, R6 Hypnos, Ginny, R6 Sally, R6 JYY, Hyde, R6 Elliot, Cecilia, Leon, CJ, Windpin, Tavor, Fang, Ethan, and Tia. I feel like this is a no-brainer. Does make sense. The top meta units, like Tia is completely busted since she got buffed, right? No question asked. She's completely busted. Ethan is a requirement to speed battle. And even if you don't speed battle, he provides so much utility to your Clave team. Just getting that extra 20 speed is already ridiculous. But on top of that, you get an additional 20% crit rate. You get additional crit damage. He gives you immunity. He has the best AoE defense break in the game. He lands Panic Gaze on the enemies. Can cooldown up 1 turn. He's just way too stupid broken. And with R6, he's even more busted. Like R2 is, I don't even talk about R2. R2 is even a requirement, but R6, like if this guy is R6, you cannot even bring Clara or Unos because he just wrecks you because of his R6 effect. Then we have Fang. Fang doesn't need any explanations, obviously. Teva went from no to meta. No questions asked. Wimpin, obviously, very strong in PvE and PvP. CJ, especially in R6, very, very strong and busted. And he is in the meta like Exodia comps, and the Exodia comp also involved. So, for example, Gabby kind of dropped because if you have a R6 Leon, Leon is just better because she provides the defense up you get from Gabby. She provides that, and she supports the CJ. Cecilia is just meta because you put her on defense and then you cannot cleave as easily as before. And yes, I 100% agree that she's worse because Embla is not good in P. So this is also a PvP tier list, by the way. This is a PvP tier list. So 100% I agree with this because this is probably a R6 comparison here. Like Valeria at R6 is way better than Embla at R6. The sisters are good because of their latest chance to res and stuff like that. I personally don't ever use them at all. It's not my play style, but there are people who use an Exodia comp with the sisters instead of the Gabby because the sisters give you a little bit more control. Then we have Elliot. Elliot at R6 is completely busted because he can just completely reset 2 units, and he does, and it cannot be resisted and it cannot miss at all. So this is very, very strong. Then we have Hyde. Hyde is also, the reason why Hyde is meta is mostly because of the RNG factor from his Avatar procs against Cleaves and also against Teva. So you build Hyde with decently high attack so that since Teva's AI targets the one with the red circle with the highest attack, you have that Hyde with the highest attack, so he focuses on the Hyde and the Hyde doesn't die because he has a second life. So this is why Hyde is there. JYY is also a no-brainer because JYY is so stupidly strong with removing like JYY is the reason why control doesn't work in this game. JYY is the reason control doesn't work in this game, and as long as it stays there, control will not be relevant as long as JYY is the way JYY is. She's just too strong at what she does. But also the other issue is she's the only unit who does what she does. So if we say, like, if we remove JYY from the game, control would rise up so high in the game, it would be ridiculous. Control would rise so high in the game because there would then be no way to counter it. And JYY is basically a gatekeeper for control. She kind of needs a nerf, or they need to introduce a second unit which does what JYY does, but weaker, and nerf JYY as well, so that we have a different option to JYY as well as bring control back into the game. R6 Sally is just busted. I'm telling that for the past, I don't know, like almost, like since they changed the reso with the HP boost and everything, R6 Sally is just ridiculous. Like the damage mitigation is just so big, and then in combination with the HP boost, made her so strong. Like after I personally got my Sally to R6 and I use her for KO, I get way less attacks, and just because of the Sally. It's ridiculous. Ginny, R0, not that great, but once you get her to R2 or even R6, it makes her so ridiculously, like, she becomes such a big threat that if you cannot deal with her, she will just solo your team. If you have no answer to her, she will solo your team. And then we have the last edition Hypnos. At R6, her game style completely changes. Because before R6, you don't have that silver rim buff from her, right? With her sleep and stuff. She can... You have to build her fast. Like, not super fast, but you have to build her fast with accuracy and everything like that, so she gets her turn and so on and so forth, right? To get a move, to use her as free. She lands poison stuff. She's a good support, control, kinda pseudo sub DPS unit. Once you get her to R6, there's like two things. First of all, at R6, she gets her silver buff at the start of combat. So that means that if you don't have immunity, your units will get slapped and never get a turn and get poison debuffed as well. And then the other thing is, not only does she get that her buff at the start of combat, right? And then it changes her whole loadout, because then you don't need to build her fast anymore. You can just build her a full tank, make her as tanky as possible, because she doesn't even need her turn. Because what she does is controlling the enemy team. And on top of that, with her R6, when she sleeps units and you attack units who are slept, they don't even wake up anymore. Because her second R6 effect is just damaging units doesn't wake them up. It's completely ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous. Hypnos at R6, having that buff at the start of combat. And then on top of that, like, her sleep turns into a stun. And then as long as she has that silver rim buff up and you don't have immunity, you will not get a turn. And you get poison stacked all the time. And she will always land it because you cannot resist it at all. And that's huge. And it's ridiculous. And you can tell, like, that Lilith with balancing and stuff, it has nothing to do... Like, it has nothing to do with Lilith acknowledging how to balance the game. It's not what they're doing. They're actually power creeping in a way. Like, we know it is busted and we want it to be busted. So the people who spent a huge amount of money throwing in their money so that we can get in revenue and we don't care about the balance. So that's why they release these broken R6 effects. And it's actually not necessarily that the unit itself is busted. The problem is that Lilith makes their R6 effects so busted. And that is currently the issue with the game. Because even if you are... This is also a PvP tier list. Even if you are someone who doesn't care about PvP and only focuses on PvE, there are, like, if you look at the leaderboards, there are like so many units you need R6 requirements to be at the top. And even if you don't care about that, the thing is, this is like a turn-based RPG game, I'd say. It's like a turn-based game, right? These turn-based games with their relic farming and everything, their end goal is always PvP. That's the thing. Why would you grind relics 24/7 all day, every day, just for PvE? Like, everyone who's playing this game since day one, right? Everyone who's playing this game since day one, and they grinded this game now for a year. Like, grind. They now have all the relics in the world, right? So what these people could now do is they could quit playing Dislyte and come back to the game 1 year later, and these people would still be able to farm every single content in the game. Why is that? Because they have all the relics. They don't need new relics. But the only thing they might not have is maybe a new content where there's like one Esper which is required to clear that thing. But if that's not the case, just by relics, they don't even need to farm anymore. There's no reason for you to farm relics because your relics are good enough to clear any content in the game. Then it's just being, okay, I want to be a little bit faster with my team, so I need the better relics. I want to improve my setup, min-max stuff to get us like the least possible amount of turns. But from a farming perspective, you can just quit now the game if you're an OG and come back in a year and still be able to farm everything. So this is why these kind of games need healthy PvP and balancing, because this is what drives players to keep grinding relics and improve their units with relics to compete then in PvP content. Overall, I think from Bravo Silas, it's not like a lot different from my PvP tier list. I would do some changes here and there. Like the meta tier list is completely fine. I agree to that. I would bump up probably Raven, because Raven I feel like is just a sleeper right now. I think Raven, I don't believe personally that Raven and Intezar belongs in the same tier. And Bruce as well. Like Raven, Brew, and Everett one tier up. JJ needs to belong in A tier. Yamato belongs in A tier or no. Because I saw R6 Yamato. He just sucks. He's not that great. Like, I don't see how Yamato can possibly be in the same tier as a Lucas, Palmy, Pritzker, or a Bonnie. No way in hell. No way in hell. Even Izanami in some sort of, like, in some shape or form is better than Yamato just because she has a 25% speed lead. And let's assume you don't have T and you don't have Ollie and you have Izanami. That's your speed lead. That's for that. But I would say I agree to 75-80% with this tier list. So guys, thanks for watching and see you next time.